What up, witches? So a while ago last year, I did a altar tour, and that was from when I changed my my summer altar to my fall altar. So I did a tour of what my summer altar looked like before I took everything down and then switched it over to the fall one. So now we are in spring. I was a little late because I only just changed my altar of this weekend that just passed. So what was it, like the 30th, whatever it was, I was late. I didn't do it on the actual first day of spring or even the day before, the day after. I was like a week late, and that was just because I didn't want to feel rushed like on the first day of spring. There was a lot going on and I was working, and I just was like, I don't want to rush the process. So as I said before, I do have two altars. I have this larger one, and then I have this smaller one over here in my kitchen. Now, the smaller one I actually work with more. The big one, I want to say, is more for like paying homage to the earth and just things that I find on my hikes that I feel like I want to display and give as offerings, like things like that. That's usually what's on this altar. This is the one that I use to change with the season and to like open up the season, and this is the one that represents the season change or whatever holiday is going on at the moment. This is usually that altar, and it's just, in general, it's just an earth altar. It's just for the earth. Or, if I feel like I need to light candles for some reason, for whatever, anything I'm performing, this is usually the one I go to for that. Now, my second smaller altar is the one that I work with more. Like I said, this is the one I use daily because my manifestation box is on it and my affirmation cards are on this one. So this is the one I used more often than the big one, but I actually don't change the little one around as much as I change the big one. So that's why I'm going to be doing a tour of the big one, because the big one changes with the seasons and the small one does not change with the seasons. It changes whenever I feel like it needs to change for whatever purpose I'm using it for. So this is now my spring altar. So I'm not really doing an altar tour because I'm not really going to like explain all the things on my altar. It's more just like spring cleaning, or watch me clean off my winter altar and put my spring altar up. Now, when I first started, you see all the candles up there, and that is just because for my winter altar, I always put my Kwanzaa candles up, and I leave those Kwanzaa candles up, and I leave this whole altar up until spring. So those candles stay there from the first day of winter all the way until the first day of spring. My Kwanzaa candles, because I do celebrate Kwanzaa, but it's also just a part of my winter my winter solstice altar. So for me personally, when I redo my altars, I like to take everything off. So that's what I do in the beginning. I remove everything that I can, and then I actually clean it, like wipe it down, just because with all the plants and stuff I put up there, the leaves that I find, the rocks that I find, just everything that I put up there, it starts to get a little bit dusty, and with like incense and all of that, and when I like burn the coals, it gets a little bit messy, and I do try to wipe it off as the stuff is on it, but it's just a lot easier to wipe it off when there's nothing on there anymore. So I do start with actually wiping down the altar. And my altar is just a plank of wood on top of shelf brackets, and then the triangles on top, I actually built those out of a pallet that I found at work. I broke apart a pallet and then I put it back together, making it a triangle. I'm pretty sure you can buy triangle shelves probably on Etsy somewhere. I think I saw some sellers on Etsy with some triangle shelves that look really cool, but these I built myself, and if you get a little bit closer, you can tell I built them myself. But I still like them. They're still my shelves. So like I was saying, I remove everything off of my altar except for the two rocks that are hanging up on like cords. I leave those there inside of each triangle, and on the edge there is some flowers drying that I found on my walk yesterday. I found a couple flowers on the ground just hanging out, so I didn't pick them. They were already on the ground, so I decided to take them home and dry them out. So that's what's hanging off the end of the triangle all the way to the right. That's just what's like dangling off the end. I'm just drying that out, that I will display later. Once it's all dried out, I'll eventually put it on the altar, especially because it's a spring altar. So of course I want flowers and plants, and that is essentially what I was going for. Like when I start putting all the stuff back on the altar again, I really wanted this one to represent just how much, not how much, I just wanted to I wanted it to represent the earth reawakening and the new plants growing and the green life and the flowers, just everything coming back again after a cold, very, very, very cold winter. So I've definitely wanted to have that reflected in my altar, and that's usually what I do. And I definitely wanted it to be a lighter altar. I didn't want to put too much on it because my winter altars are very, very heavy, because I feel like they need to bring in the warmth. So my winter altars always have a cloth on it, and that's what goes under the candles that I have. Under my Kwanzaa candles, I have my mkeka, and that is the mat that goes under them. So I feel like that brings a lot of warmth into it. But for the months like spring and summer, I like my altars to be lighter and not have as much on it. But for this one, I definitely wanted a lot more plants than I usually have. I usually do have plants on my altar, but for this one, I wanted a plant to be the focal point of it. So that's why I bought this nice, oh my gosh, this succulent pot is so pretty. So that's why I bought this succulent pot to put right in the middle, because I wanted it to be dead center a plant. And then I have this thing where I need things to balance out in case it's not blatantly obvious that I like balance. So I definitely need my altar to be balanced. If there's something in the middle, then it's okay. But if there's something on one side, then I have to put another on the other side of it. And it's usually one of the same thing. On the very, very outer edges, there's a plant on each side, then there's a plant in the middle. And then I worked my way out, actually. I put the plants up first, I think, and then I worked my way out from the succulent outwards. And that's where I put one thing on each side of it. And that's essentially how I set on my altar. Usually I put what feels right. Sorry, my cat's making so much noise in the background. Usually I put whatever feels right at the moment. I'll feel things out a little bit, just what the look I'm going for and what feels like it belongs on there, especially because there's some things that I save specifically for certain seasons or certain holidays. So I do have that box that you can see just the little top of. That's where I keep the stuff that I'm not currently using at the moment. I have an altar box where I keep all the other stuff, or something that I might want to change out at another time, but I'm kind of rambling now. But yeah, I keep all my extras in that box, and then that's why I'm just digging through it, figuring out what I want to keep, what I don't want to put on there. There's always crystals, of course, and like I said, there's just lots and lots of plants this time. I wanted to make sure that it was very plant focused. And the plant that's all the way on the right, that one actually came from my kitchen. The other ones I bought specifically to put on the altar this time, but the other one came from my kitchen. I don't think it was getting enough light where it was. I don't think it was growing, but it's not growing the way it should be. So I had to take it away from its little friend. It was sitting next to a spider plant. Spider plant. No, not a spider plant. I was sitting next to a snake plant. So I will get the snake plant, another friend. I know exactly which one I'm going to get to because I see a bunch of them at work. So yeah, I will get the snake plant, another friend. It's not going to be alone, but I needed that one to come up here because it needed a change of scenery, I think, for it to thrive. And actually, it is doing so much better already because it's been a couple days since I filmed this, but it's doing so much better already. Just it's sitting out here. Anyways, I'm getting off topic and I'm rambling a lot, so I'm just gonna. This is the altar. This is it. This is what it looks like. This is the end result, and I'm happy with it. I like the way it looks. I think I did exactly in my mind what I envisioned is what it came out being. Oh, and surprise, my supervisor at work actually had a piece of freaking birch in his pocket. I don't know why he had a piece of birch, and then he threw it in the garbage, and I was like, no. So I saved the piece of birch, and now it's on my altar as an offering platter for when I go on my hikes later on, and I'm gonna find things because I know I always find something I want to bring home. So I have those two. I have a rock on one side and then the birch on the other side. They're kind of flat, so you can't see them, and they're surrounded in crystals. But yeah, I was so excited I found that birch. That was a nice surprise. I couldn't believe he freaking threw a piece of birch in the garbage. Okay, that's all. Bye.